This week started off with the top end triple on the incline bench, 260 pounds. Transitioned from there into some back offsets with 243 pounds for triples as well. Starting to really feel back in the groove, as awkward as this entire lockdown situation might be, and getting used to showing up and paying those dues in sweat equity regardless of the circumstances that might be unfolding around me. Worked some supinated close grip pulldowns. Definitely didn't push these to failure. Rep range was 12 to 15, but I just went with the minimum across the board, trying to kind of maintain a positive outlook and inch those progressions ahead instead of absolutely blasting myself right now, as there's quite a bit of stress compounding across all arenas in life. Then went into a superset here, even though I had the video split, of the kneeling dumbbell shrug with the dumbbell seated power cleans. I love those dumbbell seated power cleans. My form isn't perfect on them just yet, but my goodness, when it comes to shoulders and traps, they are absolutely brutal and further humbling, considering oftentimes I'm working with 5, 7.5, 8, 10, maybe 12 pounds, and I consistently get absolutely destroyed by those light weights. As soon as I was done with those seated dumbbell power cleans, I transitioned into some tricep work, working on that close grip Barbell JM Press. Even though I think I'm doing it a little bit better, I'm far from getting that quality form down. Definitely feel the triceps getting hammered though. Extremely effective at hitting the back of the arms. And then finished off this training session with some single arm tricep press downs, high reps. Actually, there were a lot of high reps across this entire workout today, a lot of blood flow. Definitely a more than adequate pump. Solid start to the week. Now that was a good training session. I actually enjoyed that workout, which has been rare for me to actually enjoy a training session for the past couple of weeks, but got all the dues paid. Everything felt good. Got a solid pump as well. And routine is starting to rebuild again in my life, which is good. The routine is different. The structure is much different. The schedule is much different. But change isn't always necessarily a bad thing. So adapting, growing, and getting it done. Started this lower body training session off with a top end triple, 323 pounds on the bar, and it felt good. Backed it off after that 323, which moved relatively smoothly down to 291, back under the 300 mark, and got 4 respective triples, and really getting that work in with those heavier weights, building that confidence with the SSB, and really closing in on doing some working volume with that 3 plates on each side of the SSB, which will be a huge milestone. Work some split squats after that, still getting the balance game together on these using the roller. All in all, they felt pretty good, and then I moved from here into some belt squat marches. So unless you've been living under a rock lately, you're well aware that the world is kind of flipped upside down. Sometimes that happens. I'm not gonna lie, the last few weeks have been extremely stressful. A weird type of stressful. Just get this bad boy set up. Oh yeah. Stressful in the sense that there was a lot of uncertainty, and our systems, although the foundation was incredible, we never would have projected that distance clients and local clients would not be even able to access most training equipment. So we were fortunate that we had the systems themselves to service in a distance setting and still customize and individualize programming. But we were not prepared in the sense that we had programs ready for bodyweight exercises of varying levels, because we do so much individualized stuff that, if a client has a pre-existing issue or limitation, we often work around that, but we usually have equipment that we can prioritize those deficiencies or limitations with. So, it was a hell of a week. Hell of a 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I don't even know what day it is anymore. All I know is that my workouts this week, although they were progressive the entire time through, this is the first time that I'm feeling really well rested. And it's curious because of how poorly I did feel initially. I thought I felt good last week. I didn't realize how poorly I was feeling because of the underlying chronic stress. I didn't realize how whipped I was, how exhausted I was. So a week and a half ago, when I finally started getting a little bit better of sleep, I was like, oh good, I'm back in the game. Then this week, at the beginning of this week, I felt even better because we had some forward momentum. We had some new revenue coming in. Then I was like, wow, now I feel really good. And then I woke up this morning and I was like, okay, now I feel good. So getting progressively better each day. I guess you don't really realize how hard you got hit from all of that stress and overwhelm until the dust starts to settle, or at least until you can start to see a little bit of a light coming through. That was definitely the case for me. I'm relatively resilient. My personality is I'll forge ahead through anything. But it's not till the dust kind of settles that you go, oh boy, that was a lot. That was a big mental load hanging out there. So regardless, training is still moving forward, and the business model has changed dramatically, but it's how you play chess. We're not in the game of checkers anymore, right? This is a lot of new opportunity out there. There's a lot of potential for us to serve and help other people and add value to their lives, only because we have the systems, the strategies, and the experience to not only rise to the occasion, but also to over-deliver amidst chaos. So we're fortunate and we're exhausted, but we ain't backing down and we ain't going anywhere. Started Saturday's upper body training session with a different variation. The pin press set at 4 inches off the chest, bringing this variation into the mix because a lot of lifters that excel and move the weight I want to move on the bench press are much more proficient at this particular variation in this range of motion. So there's an evident disparity between where I need to be and where I currently am. Went into some weighted chin-ups, total weight, including body weight, 211 for sets of 8 across. Then I didn't superset it. I then went into sets of inverted wide grip Swiss bar rows. Brutal putting these two back to back because even though the chin-ups were loaded, they're both variations where you're moving your body weight, deceptively fatiguing having both of these in the same training session. Then went into some skull crushers with the Swiss bar, 111 for 4 sets of 8, really developing that tricep strength, which is also going to contribute to heavier presses in the long term. Little bit of a burnout for the back of the arms with some diamond push-ups, and then went into some reverse barbell curls. 2 sets of 20 higher reps with just the bar. Sunday morning check-in, about to get under the bar. Spent a couple hours doing some admin work this morning. It's volume squats, meaning weight's not going to be super heavy, but we're going to get in quite a few sets and quite a few reps as well, really building out that foundation. Then moving into some, I can't even articulate my thoughts. I clearly need more coffee. Moving into some deficit deadlifts, 1-inch deficit, standing on a 45-pound plate. Going to be pulling triples, 3x3 today instead of 3x5, so that'll be interesting. And then finishing off with a little bit of secondary work for the hamstrings. The volume on the squats for sets of 7 across definitely contributed to a pump in the legs. Not used to running this type of volume on the traditional barbell squat. It's been a minute since I did any sort of volume work in this capacity, and I was feeling it. Rolled some deficit deads, 3 sets across, triples on each set, 405 on the bar, and then went from there into back extensions, employing a plate-loaded setup so that I could focus on the posterior chain instead of my grip becoming fatigued trying to hold on to the 45 pounds itself. Solid lower body session, and I have a feeling that I'm going to experience a little bit of DOMS after this one.